Scry-fi. We are talking about Strange New Worlds, episode 5, I believe, Charades. Charades, which is a funny title, just from one of the many jokes of this
The
episode.
whole thing is a big charade, and then references.
Right, yeah. So this one, real quick, Spock gets in a shuttle accident and becomes human for a few days. It was hard to tell if it was a few days or just one day or something like that, but he definitely
I got the impression it was a few days. Yeah,
a few days. Yeah. But he gets to experience being human, which gives him the freedom to explore a few things he wouldn't normally, and that's always fun. So it's a fun episode, a goofy one. What do you think overall?
Still no Strange New Worlds, but
we had one last.
It was a fun. That's true. It was a fun episode. There's some interesting little particulars about how all of it went down. That'd be fun to talk about. One thing I wasn't sure about is, okay, so if we back up before the accident, they're talking about these Kirkovians. Didn't they say the ruins were on a moon in the Vulcan system, or did they mean sector?
Yeah. No, well, they said system. So he said that they reached the Vulcan system and that they decided to go slowly for a while, give everybody shore leave and
there
stuff.
Was another part later on, I think, where it made it sound like they were in another sector. But
I don't think so.
Well, in the same sector, but another system. Anyway, I think it's in the system. But so then that makes me wonder, like, okay, so is this like ancient ruins that have been there for, because the Vulcans have been spacefaring since before humanity, so they would have found this stuff pretty early. Sure. So I'm guessing that they knew it was there. They've always known it was there. Well, not always, but since they got out in space, and they studied it, but they got as far as they could. And then now the recent thing is the anomaly popping up. That gives off all these waves, and they're going, "What's going on here?" Right? I think that's stuff they knew about forever, for centuries.
I think these are concept images of the Kirkovian ruins. It's pretty interesting.
Cool.
First of all, Kirkovian made me think, did they just name the aliens after Kirk? But it is Kerk according to, but still.
We'll find out later they worship Kirk.
Yeah, so cool. Of course. He goes back in time. Yeah.
No, but yeah, okay, so I wanted to make sure I was understanding that right. So the recent thing is this anomaly opening up.
Yep.
And that's why they're trying to study it, in recent times, like in the last few days or something.
So yeah, anomaly. It's weird that they send just the shuttle though. I guess they show up and they're gonna go look, but they go, let's go ahead and send Spock and just.
Well, they got too close,
right?
Yeah. Well, they sent a science officer and
a medical officer, I guess.
Medical to look after him, I guess.
Well, I mean,
because she was trying to study. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she might be one of their what do you call them, professionals about archaeology and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they made a big deal about her trying to get into this program,
and that the Kirkovians had an exceptional medical knowledge or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, and of course, all of that's going to align later with Dr. Roger Corby,
right?
Which she's supposed to be involved with.
So they fly too close. You already know that there's stuff going on between Nurse Chapel and Spock. They fly too close. We find out later that Spock moves his shields over to save her, kind of stuff, which is cool. But it didn't surprise me. It didn't be like, ooh, like he would have done that pretty much for anybody, I believe.
Yeah, that wasn't surprising.
I think he would have done it for Uhura or Kirk or whatever. Maybe not Kirk's brother, but.
But I think that's all fine. They got a little closer than they should have, and maybe the anomaly is irregular, so it's hard to judge. And then they fixed Spock, but going off of her DNA, they figured that it must have been an anomaly or something. We don't know how badly his body was destroyed. So
Right.
um,
Yeah. He was obviously hurt or radiated so much that they couldn't read the original code or something like that, and just went, "Oh, we'll
well, I
fix
think
it."
they thought it was anomalous DNA in there or something, which is interesting because it would. They don't really. Oh, they have mentioned this before with humans and Klingons that it requires laboratory assistance to get the. You're not just going to have sex with a Klingon and then have a half human and a Klingon because they're different species. So it would make sense if that's the way it works with half Vulcan, half human as well. And if that's the case, then that can also explain why they thought, what's going on here with this DNA?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all good enough for premise of the Star Trek episode. I was fine with it. And then, he wakes up, he says, what the F, and it cuts him off.
Yeah, that scene right there.
Yeah. Now,
By
the
the
thing
way,
is,
I just want to
go
say
ahead.
on this scene, they did a great job of doing the dun 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 kind of feel
Zoom
at the
in.
very
Yeah.
beginning of the original series kind of stuff.
It'd be funny to recut these episodes with the old soundtrack. Dun, 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 dun.
They almost kind of did that, and then they
Yeah.
did that, and then cut to the ding,
Yeah.
the space stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. So it kind of the thing about I've seen comments about having cussing in Star Trek, and I realize we're more modern now, and it's not a big a deal to have it on TV, so it's in the show. But they've already kind of established that it just kind of fell out of favor over time, and they don't cuss in this. How is it then that Kirk and Spock are having this discussion about cussing every other word? I guess maybe they don't cuss as much, but
I don't think they cuss as much, and they also, I mean, in the movies they kind of added it a little bit more.
right?
Data
Yeah,
even says, "Oh shit!" whenever the ship is
yeah,
coming.
but like in the original movies or the original series character movies, people don't realize that at no point in the original series did McCoy say, "Damn it, Jim," because he couldn't say "damn it."
Right.
That was only in the movies. So I guess it's a thing that's been going on forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that because it was on TV, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
and it was a good moment to do
obviously-
something like that too, because it was funny. Because now he's a human.
right? Yeah, now he would say something like that. Yeah. By the way, you could barely see it, but Pike's face to the right. Pike is the biggest, or the actor that plays him is the biggest comedy part of this entire episode, and he's in the background the entire time. If you rewatch this, watch for only him. His reactions and things that he does is hilarious.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that.
I watched it a second time and I started noticing, especially, I'll show you a picture. So this right here, there's this point where his mother starts realizing what's going on and he's kind of yelling at his mother, right? And Pike just kind of casually tries to get out there.
Inspecting the door.
Yeah, as he starts going towards the door closes on him, and he's like he's trapped in this room with them and stuff. And I didn't even notice it the first time, but he's got this expression behind there and stuff. It's
so
the
door's not working and he can't get away. And
and even throughout the whole thing, remember there's a part where the father says, "Oh, let's bring the food," and he starts bringing the food, and she's like, "Not now," or they say something that, oh no, Spock starts yelling "You're saying a human can't do it," and you see him go turn around and take the tray back and stuff. His comedy on this is so subtle.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to look at that again. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's another thing about this that's interesting about his change. I would have thought. So we know that Vulcans' emotions are stronger than humans' emotions.
Right.
And in fact, they say that later on in this very episode. They say it. So we know that they know it. So it seems odd that he would be more emotional because he's human. If anything, it made his emotions less intense, but he still got memory of all the training he did. So the only thing I can picture from that is that there are certain effects on the Vulcan mind from the techniques that they use to suppress emotion that maybe are not physically possible for a human brain. So then when he got changed to a human brain, he has the memory of those techniques, but they're not working as well,
I think they actually snuck in different as well. Normally they've said more powerful, but I think this time they said Vulcan emotions are different and stronger.
They did say different, but they also did say stronger. I remember him saying that, unless I'm just misremembering, but I'm pretty sure they also said that.
Yeah. And they also they had this moment where he talked to Ortega, and or no, it wasn't Ortega. It was La'an, and they were talking about how his reactions are almost like teenager human. So maybe his hormones and everything were in such a weird state.
That's true. They did make a big deal out of that he's like in a kind of a teenage-like state,
right,
which is different than just being a human of that age. Maybe it's because for a Vulcan of his age, that would be a teenager.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that because they're a long life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, or them just putting them back to human, like created
the sudden flood of everything.
Situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not it's not like some kind of automatic violation or anything. It's just an interesting way that worked out. How biology is complicated, so you need that stuff's possible. But
yeah,
yeah. So to me though, it makes me think like if a human were to engage in the Vulcan disciplines, and there's been characters like that before, there's only a certain amount that they could do, and it works a lot better on a Vulcan brain.
Right. But that doesn't mean that it was strange to me that we never saw him meditating, right? Like I thought even
before, he'd be trying to reinforce with
and maybe he did right before meeting with T'Pring. He might have done it, and they just didn't think that. Maybe it got cut. Maybe they didn't try it because it just wouldn't fit in the comedic episode.
This was basically a Trouble with Tribbles style episode.
Yeah, it was a comedy. There was jokes left and right, which is great. I think it's fun. It's there's always been a comedy side to Star Trek. Even in the original series, they had the little jokes between Kirk and McCoy, and especially near the end of episodes and stuff. I think it's great that the movie, the fourth movie and all that was kind of like this as an episode. It's all mostly jokes and lightheartedness. And sometimes you need that, right?
The Voyage Home. Yeah, they did a lighthearted one. But, this scene right here, the second of these type of scenes where he is getting the joke and he's laughing, I thought there was something cool about that like, it would have been neat to see another scene like this after he returns to normal, where he's not laughing, but then he says something to let you know that he got the joke, even though he's not laughing, or some kind of thing like that. And then also have a moment in that same scene where the crew kind of misses him that could socialize with them that way, and it's kind of poignant or bittersweet or something, like they lost that part of him.
Well, he does start to over laugh and take it too far at some point.
Yeah, so then they don't like that guy too. But
this has got to be really hard to act, by the way.
Like, I feel like if this episode had been in The Next Generation, they would have used it as an opportunity for some kind of new relationship to build, and then for it to be not working anymore, and it's kind of a sad, bittersweet thing at the end when he goes back.
Well, they're doing it the other way, right? They made it to where the relationship between him and Christine Chapel
it accelerated everything. It let him reveal stuff that he wouldn't have normally.
Right.
Yeah.
There was actually a lot less of that than I thought until near the end, because she was so focused on trying to fix him. So, which is good because we got.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 50 Shades of Vulcan for a minute there, 50 Shades of Green.
Of green, yeah.
But anyway, So yeah, that's cool. What was next in the plot?
By the way,
Where they at?
I wanted to. I didn't even get her face in this picture. I think I have it in another one, but his mother. I just love that character.
Yeah. Well, his mother's always been a great character,
Yeah,
even going back to the original series. When you think
right.
about her appearance in Journey to Babel,
Hmm.
it was always a fun, interesting thing to see his mom talking about him and everything, and how they interact. It was fun to see them interact in Star Trek 4 when she's telling him about his human half and everything. I thought she looks really young, but I guess they're setting it up so that she'll be gray haired by the time of the original series. I don't know. Maybe she just looks young for her age.
I thought she looked a little young too, but maybe it's just they're doing that thing where Picard was supposed to be in his 70s, but the actor was in his 50s. They're
Right.
looking younger than the age that they would be today, kind of thing.
Yeah, you could say that.
I think 60-year-olds today look younger than 60-year-olds 100 years ago, right?
And I really don't know the age of those two actors, Spock and.
Right. They might actually be pretty close. I could look it up real quick, but
That'd be interesting to know.
yeah. So the age of Spock or Ethan Peck is
Of course,
not listed, so I can't look it up. Ethan
really.
Peck. It's just not listed where I was looking. His age is 37.
Okay.
And
who plays
then
his mom?
his mom is played by. I gotta get the other cast here. Let's see. They're not giving me her name, but yeah, I don't see her name on here. I don't see Amanda Strange.
What did we do? What's
And
the
I was
name of
looking at.
Charades?
I'm looking at Lost in Translation. That's the next episode. Let me see here. That's my fault for looking at the wrong episode.
Oh, I think I'm getting real close to it. It's Mia Kirshner.
Yep. Yeah, I got her now. Do you have her age?
48.
Okay. So 48 if
11 years older.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
in this story, she was 58. She could be 21 when she met Sarek,
Yeah, you can fudge it for sure.
She could be 60 in this if you think about medicine and health and all that stuff. They age. They say that humans are like, living to 120, 130, something like that in Star Trek, I think so.
Yeah, that's just an interesting choice. So.
Anyway, I just wanted to note that I really liked this actress, her ability and the character and all that stuff.
She did a good job of capturing the essence of the character.
This is Spock trying bacon. I understand that he smelled it and he was like, oh my God, I got to try this. But at the same time, Vulcans are vegetarian for not just because they're stomach reasons. Like they have all kinds of cultural and
right. It's not a vegetarian species. They just choose to be vegetarian. Right. As a cultural thing. But it could be that he's more tempted by satiation from
that's
senses,
how I took it.
In his lack of discipline. He pays more attention to those kinds of things.
It's a little weird that they didn't use this moment to take him out of uniform. You see other characters in their more casual uniform. He's cooking with the captain. Why aren't they in their normal little clothes and stuff? It'd be neat to see him. What are his casual clothes? He might not actually have any on board. He might just have, this is what I wear for this. This is what I wear for this. And, so.
He probably has some kind of ceremonial robes or something he might meditate in.
This moment was great.
Yeah. I'll break you, Kurt.
I will break you. It's a good thing he didn't have his Vulcan strength because he could probably push those two.
Yeah, I thought at some point they'd make some kind of statement about that, have him try to do something and not be able to lift it or something.
Yeah. But his agitation at Sam Kirk is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
They played that role really well.
Oh yeah, the ears. So what's fun about this is that I'll bet you that those are the actual makeup ears that they apply on him. You know, they're just showing you the prosthetics.
Well, what's interesting is in the show, when he puts them on to pretend and everything like that, they use the makeup to blend it all in and stuff, you know, so you can't tell. But at the moment in the scene where he goes to take them off, you can see the lines.
Oh.
So it's like they didn't want all the makeup and gunk to come off. So
interesting.
Otherwise, you just see the lines of the ears the whole time, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the minute I saw those, I was like, oh, that's great that they're showing him the ears. So, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of there's some moments in the original series where like the Enterprise gets shrunk down real tiny and then it's sitting on a table. I think that was though the one with the powerful guy.
That's the one with the cat's paw, right?
Oh, that one too. I think there's two like that. Anyway, I think what you're looking at there is the model, one of the models of the ship, not the big one that they made.
Yeah, they had a giant one, but yeah. And there's his mother, by the way. I said I had another shot of her. But yeah, that was great. Yeah. I think it's funny that his hair's all messed up in this. When I first saw the scene, I was like, is it going to be that, oh, now I'm human, so I have messy hair? But he does fix it later. So, yeah, like that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the whole thing about him holding that tea and it wouldn't burn him. At first, I thought it was just because they'd be able to ignore the pain, right? But then I realized, oh, wait, they're actually are like, they live on a much hotter planet. So
yeah, they probably didn't think it was a big deal. Well, it wasn't supposed to be some test of, you know, it was just
right.
It's hot, but so what?
Yeah. So his mother being able to do it was like,
like
it might have actually might need some dermal regeneration or something.
Yeah, it's probably just one of those things that's hot enough to make it really hard to do, but not hot enough to actually burn.
T'Pring's mother and father were fun. The overbearing woman and him like saying, "Oh, I like this. Oh, I guess I don't." You know, that kind of stuff.
His father was very un-Vulcan. I mean, and there should be room for variation in who meets up to the ideals of whatever in any population. So that's fine to see that, but it's just interesting that he's, you know, I want some of those snacks, or I'll try this. And
I know.
Also, this person is touching food with his hands, which at least 100 years ago, Vulcans didn't tend to want to do that.
That's true. On the Enterprise, they would.
On the Enterprise, T'Pau said that. Now, but you know, it's 100 years later. The culture, we know there's been huge cultural shifts.
Yeah, there was a big cultural shift. Yeah,
and this dude is just kind of like a hedonistic Vulcan, more hedonistic than most Vulcans. So maybe he's the only one who would do that. I don't know.
You can tell every time he's like, "Ooh, do you have any more of those snacks?" You can see her look like,
yeah,
yeah. And I don't know if we've talked about it before, but T'Pring is excellent for this. The actress and the character and stuff. I love the interaction between them. It's very interesting.
The actress really looks like the original T'Pring too, like real close. And but it does make you look at Amok Time very differently, because certainly enough has gone on so that by the time of Amok Time, she is extremely cold and distant to him. You know, in that episode, but you can see where this is going, and it kind of like makes sense that that's where they're going to end up. Have they mentioned Stan before or shown him? I feel like he was shown.
He was shown in the last series. It's someone she works with.
You mean the last season?
Or last season, yeah. It's someone that she works with. She just mentioned Stan, and I was like, oh, Stan Damon.
Yeah, there's Stan.
Stan is the man that she wants.
Oh, yeah, for people that don't know.
With, Spock. In the original series, Amok Time, she says, "I want to be with Stan," and so the only way to do it is to, have this whole thing to happen.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's weird that we don't get to see her parents, or maybe we just didn't. I don't remember her parents. Maybe they didn't have any speaking lines in the mock time. The original.
They might have said, "We're not going to that thing."
Yeah,
screw that dude. That would also make sense. It was also kind of cool little details they put in, like after certain parts of the ceremony, they gonged that little gong, and it was the same shape as the gong things in a mock time.
Yeah, I like the sharing of grievances time period.
Yeah, the airing of grievances. It's like Festivus.
Yeah.
Now the feats of strength.
Now we will tell you.
Hold the teapot. It's Vulcan Festivus.
It's great. Yeah, I like this dynamic and everything. This was great.
It was fun. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nurse Chapel convinces
they're in the land of tinfoil.
Yeah.
I'm sure now, by the way, that they are heavily using what Star Wars calls the volume. I think there's a more generic name for that technology, but it's a big screen thing,
I think they call it the wall or something like that. I don't think theirs goes over a dome. I think theirs is more like this. I could be wrong because I've only saw flashes of images of it.
But it does have that parallaxing effect where as you move the camera around, it changes the perspective so that it really does look. So
the actors are actually seeing most of this all around them, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But Nurse Chapel convinces two other people to risk their lives just to change Spock's. Like when they were in the shuttle and she was like, Spock's going to get stuck this way. We got to do it for him. I was thinking like, okay, but how's he going to feel if all three of you die?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be so much worse for him.
But I never really felt like they were in danger, not just because of meta storytelling reasons, but I didn't feel like they would have felt like they're really in danger because those beings are on the other side of that, and they pieced them back together and said, we correct any things. So if you went in there and crashed or died, they'd probably just fix you again. And I feel like they're not going to allow people to just come die there and stuff.
Yeah. Did they say why that portal was open for any reason?
We don't know. They're mysterious aliens.
They said they opened it from.
This could be a precursor to something. Maybe they're going to do something there.
I like the idea that they were. One was called yellow, one was called blue. It almost made me think like, as they're communicating, they're searching your brain for your communication. They were like something. My name is. Give me some random name or yellow.
Or give me something that triggers a certain feeling in you that they associate with. You know how we have a psychological reaction. Yeah. But what's interesting is like yellow wasn't actually yellow and blue was, they didn't change the color of the. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I think it's funny that they're so bureaucratic. And like, you have gone past the extended time for
recompense was made. There's no line. Yeah.
You were past the due date for what was it? For reasons or arguments or something like that. That was funny.
Yeah, maybe we'll learn more about them in the future. That's interesting.
So after all of this, T'Pring, by the way, that was a really cool outfit. She said she and her mother argued for 3. I was like, that is such a cool outfit.
Yeah, all of the wardrobe in this is really great. Yeah. Oh, there's some Spock casual clothes, I think.
Well, this is what he wore at the ceremony.
Formal clothes. So
that's a formal ceremonial thing and all that.
Yeah, not casual. But.
Yeah. But, so after they talk, I guess she does the breakup thing. I'm wondering if, because she's having the same feelings for Stan back at home.
Maybe, but I could see her doing this even if nothing had kindled between Stan and her yet.
I don't know.
Maybe Stan's going to go, you're on a break. Huh? Well,
that's true. But, I mean, like she even said, you make a logical argument for why you didn't tell me. I can't lie very well. Yeah, I was already stressed out, all this stuff. But it seems like she's searching for a reason to, So I think what's going to happen, obviously, is they're going to be apart for a while.
Mhm.
He and Nurse Chapel are going to kind of get together and break up. And then she and Stan are going to get together and not break up.
Yeah. So at the end of this, of course, we see him and Nurse Chapel are going to obviously have some kind of much more heated level of romance or something. But there's still many years to go before we get back to where they are in TOS, where she obviously has feelings for him, but they're not together. So I'm wondering if something happens, like there's going to be this arc, and then she's going to have to go off to the archaeological thing and meets Roger Corby, and then she has to tell him, I can't be with you, I'm going to be with Roger Corby. And so then, of course, Roger Corby then goes missing, and now things are just, so it all kind of, I could see how all this could eventually end up where we see in TOS, and her so close to him and yet not close,
And, obviously there's some tweaking and adjustment of how things were meant to be back in, like when they originally wrote the series, the original series, they didn't mean for all this back history stuff between them.
They didn't, but I feel like they're paying a lot of attention to detail here to see what they can skirt and get away with. Like, for example, it's pretty obvious when you watch them on time that both Uhura and Nurse Chapel are surprised to see this lady T'Pring, and Spock says she's my wife. But if you actually look at the details of what happens, she comes on the screen, and Uhura says, "Oh, she's lovely. Who is she?" Like, she hasn't seen her yet, and they haven't shown Uhura seeing T'Pring yet. Okay, and then people usually assume that Nurse Chapel didn't know who she was either. But all that we see of Nurse Chapel is her looking concerned, and then Spock answers Uhura's question and says, "T'Pring, she is my wife." And then Nurse Chapel looks surprised, and it's like, okay, well, she's surprised that because last she knew that was, call off and everything. And they haven't gone through the ceremony yet, so Spock is kind of jumping the gun with, she's my wife. She's not yet his wife, but
he's getting that dun 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 moment.
It's one of those things where it all technically still works. And if you had seen this first and then watched the TOS episode, you wouldn't give it a second thought. It would fit. But that to me just shows me that they're sitting there looking at details of who said what exactly and what can we do that's unexpected but yet still fits.
We talked about that with the Lahan time travel episode too. What she knew, what she didn't. They took really good care not to break everything else, right?
Right. So they didn't show what Vulcans really, what Romulans really look like. Yeah.
So yeah, they've done a really great job, I think, of they're changing what was being done, but not really. Like, they're not saying it didn't happen. They're just saying what you thought happened. It's a little bit different.
And they're not like, you don't want to just draw a straight line from one point to another known point and just have, they're trying to have unexpected, interesting things take place that you never knew. Now you get to find out happen that are surprising and whatnot. But I think they're actually being pretty good about the canon.
It reminds me of, not to break universes here too much, but it reminds me of if you watch Star Wars episodes 1, 2, 3 and the Clone Wars and all that stuff, and then go rewatch episode 4, the things that Obi-Wan says to Luke and all, they have so much different meaning than, of course, the original movie that came out in 1977 had, right? But because they knew all of that stuff and they crafted it around it, they really sharpened it and made it something different. I think they're doing the same thing here, really.
Yeah, and to take something silly, for example, like, it's quite likely that when Empire Strikes Back was made, that George Lucas did not think that C-3PO was built by Darth Vader.
Right.
But the fact is, we don't know why it was built. And now we see how it all connects together. I was talking with a friend of mine who said, they're looking at it like it was a coincidence. But it's not a coincidence if you look at it going forward, anybody who sees it going forward doesn't see a coincidence. They just see the natural unfolding of events. And, oh, that's why C-3PO is still around, because he went to Amidala and then he went here. And it only seems like a coincidence looking back on it. So,
yeah. So, but not to break universes, going back to Star Trek. And the whole episode, I was very happy to have it. Thought it was fun and stuff. Like you said at the beginning of this episode, though, like, where are my Strange New Worlds? We had one right before this. That's good. And, you know, I while I'm enjoying the episode, I'm wanting some Star Trek-y.
Yeah, get out there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Of course, the aliens are strange new life forms.
Yeah,
you know,
they are.
So that's true.
Even Pike was like, "Ooh, first contact!" Like,
I thought they were remarkably underwhelmed by this. It's like, oh, this thing. Oh, you're going to go study that. Okay. Why isn't everybody going, oh, what the hell? Portals opening up in the Vulcan system.
Well, I imagine. Well, they were going there for the portal, right? So. What's funny is that the reaction was so off-putting, not off-putting, but just like knocked him off as he was ready. Oh, first contact, ready for this. And they went, hello, my name's Blue. And he went like, hi, I'm, you know, like he had to like, oh, this is weird and friendly. It's not normally that.
They seem to me like AIs, like they're sophisticated artificial intelligences, which they may be.
That's interesting. But yeah, I think he was just kind of thrown a little bit like, oh, that's very easy to talk to. And then goodbye. And oh, wait. Now we can't talk to him. And
we're done.
And they said the little device that connected him like fried itself. Like you get one chance to talk to him kind of thing. I'm sure that this and this happens in a lot of episodes, probably most episodes, especially like TNG and stuff, where I always think about someone writes this report and it goes out and there's some Kirkovian, you know, archaeologist guy who's made his whole life about these people. There's what? And go read it. And he's going to call them and ask questions.
Yeah.
He's going to fly to the moon and try to get.
There's a lot of what you're seeing in Star Trek is the very first, like, oh, what's this? And okay, well, we got to go do this other mission now. And they leave. Yeah. But yeah, whole society, just like with. They're
the tip of the. You know, the sword as it goes through everything. They just go and send it on to people who are going to spend their whole lives looking at stuff. So.
It reminds me of the animated series. There's an episode where they show the Guardian of Forever again, and it's been studied. There's researchers around that they're there set up. You know what I mean? So that all that stuff's going on. It just wasn't going on in the moments following the first exposure to it.
And there are older episodes of Star Trek in many series where they come across a professor who I've made this my life's work, blah blah blah. You know, so you know that stuff is going on. That's just not part of their story. You know.
What I'd love to know is, did Section 31 ever feel like messing around with the Guardian of Forever, and what would they have wanted to do with it, and all that stuff?
I don't know. Yeah, I get the feeling that the Guardian of Forever decides if you get to use it or not.
Probably, but also Starfleet has probably got really high level regulations and protections around this thing.
But
it's probably top secret too. I bet the Romulans and Klingons don't even know it was discovered.
Oh yeah, I would.
Federation would probably keep. In fact, I'll bet Federation citizens probably don't even know about it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right.
So that was it was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. I like the comedy episodes and stuff, and I like that even in most of the serious ones and stuff, they find time to put a little bit of lightheartedness and character growth and all that stuff in here. But sometimes you just get a good, strong, lots of stuff happening with characters and things like that. I'm still just kind of craving a little more sci-fi story. You know what I mean? So. Hopefully we'll get some more of that.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll finish off this episode, and we're running a little bit late for this one, so we'll have another episode of what's the next one? I just talked about it before, Lost in Translation.
Right. Yeah, we'll do that one next. So
Right.
stay tuned.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.